to you and how deeply she's loved. A Hallmark card is the perfect way to say thank you for all she does. Don't forget, Mother's Day is Sunday, May 10th. Visit Walgreens today to find the perfect Hallmark Mother's Day card and make her feel truly special. Mother's Day means Hallmark cards at Walgreens.
He has an overbite that makes him look like a cartoon character, a slightly crooked eye, and an uncommonly wrinkly neck. In the right light, he can look a little like a garden gnome, and he'll wear a bow tie just because. Sure, you might call him a little quirky, but that's exactly what makes him so perfect. Tuna is a 3-year-old Chihuahua Dachshund mix with more than 700,000 followers on Instagram, and it all started because he was adopted. You can't buy a best friend like Tuna, but you can adopt one. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, progressives, and yes, all the rest. Welcome to the May 6th, 2026 edition of Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Shout out to my man Henry and to Mike hanging out with me this morning. They decided, we'll go in and help the dude out, make sure his show is going to run. Our show's on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. Also broadcasting on AM 950 in Minneapolis, AM 1520, and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. Email me at richard@wcpt820.com and follow me on all of the socials. Just dropped another post on Substack. And so check that out. And, of course, catch me again on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Spoutable, Threads, Blue Sky, those places. And catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Legendary Joan Esposito, by the way. The great Patty Vasquez, just chugging you along, driving it home. And it's The Democracy Stupid with Edwin Eisendrath. Of course, our other great shows, Out Chicago, and all the other things that we do in the evening and on the weekends. Make sure you're plugging in and make your way over. This is, I said this yesterday, Henry. The trip over to Heartland Signal is a joyous one because our team has put together some great stuff. You guys got to check this out. Okay. You guys have heard me talk about this person before. And this is at our heartlandsignal.com website. So make sure you go over. Pennsylvania GOP gubernatorial candidate Stacey Garrity. She was dodging some questions from NBC 10 Philadelphia's Lauren Mayak on what reproductive rights laws she would enforce as governor. And basically, she's a perfect example of someone that makes it and then pulls the ladder up behind them. She doesn't think that reproductive rights should necessarily extend to other women. And she's also the one that said that she agrees with Roe being shut down essentially by the Supreme Court. Didn't want to see methylpristone be approved by the Supreme Court. It's kind of weird, the back and forth there. So this woman, Stacey Garrity, is definitely a problem. And she's running for governor in Pennsylvania, but I don't think she's going to win. The people that I talked to there have said that she's a danger to the state, which means she's a danger to the country. That's the thing. Indiana State Senate President Pro Tem Roderick Bray, Republican, acknowledges that out-of-state spending in Indiana state legislative primaries are from Republicans trying to unseat other Republicans who voted against Donald Trump's gerrymandering wishes. So the elections were last night in a few states. Ohio, Michigan had some things going on, and certainly Indiana had a big night. And a lot of Republicans who went against Donald Trump got primaried, which tells you a lot about what Republicans are going to be doing in the midterms toward blue states. I've been saying this for weeks now since our primaries here took place, and all the outside money that came into Illinois. Fair Shake is one of them. Some of the other tech and crypto boys and the money that they're throwing at other elections. That's going to only get worse for our election process. And speaking of Ohio for a second, Amy Acton was nominated as the Democratic candidate for governor in Ohio, along with, on the other side, Vivek Ramaswamy, who has been selected as the Republican nominee. The difference is Amy Acton, Dr. Acton, has been driving her campaign with money from regular folks. Some strong donors, but the majority of her campaign contributions have come from regular folks. And you know how I said like week before last when we had Demi Palachek in studio, how I said I don't always agree with that money in politics is bad because sometimes money in politics is needed to beat down the bad from the other side. And this is a good example in my observation. Ramaswamy is a tech bro billionaire that, again, he's another one. Let's snatch up the ladder when it comes to medical coverage. Let's snatch up the ladder when it comes to immigration, all the rest. You can figure out what I'm saying. But he's got $1 billion, or he's, net worth as a billionaire. That's bad money in my observation, because he doesn't have to get any donations. He will probably get some contributions that'll come from various places, and they're probably going to be dark or certainly shaded, light gray. But here's the thing, guys. He's going to dump a ton of bad money into this election, and I was watching Jen Psaki last night on MS Now, and she said something that I thought was probably the best description of Vivek Ramaswamy. And that is, his political instincts are very, very deficient. Those are my words. She basically said that they're not that good, and I would agree with her. And I'm going to do everything I can to get Dr. Acton on the show. And if there's anything I can suggest to her in terms of her campaigning going forward for governor of Ohio, is tag him, meaning Vivek Ramaswamy, with every stupid A thing that he's said and done to his debate for the Republican nomination for president year before last, and everything he said about Medicare and Medicaid in the state of Ohio, and everything he said about immigration. Just tag him with it, paper him with it, so that the voters of Ohio can at least see that he is not, like Jen Psaki said, he does not have the political instincts, and as a result, the leadership skills as a politician for the state of Ohio. That dude cannot become governor. And I don't know what it's going to take for the voters in Ohio to see that. But right now, it's a virtual tie. They're both at about 48%. So Ohio, I mean, I don't know what it is, y'all. Do you just need a Republican that damn bad that you're going to put that guy in office who has already said he is going to slash the things, including, Henry, including education. But yet, and I'm this is that moment where I'm going to sound like I'm pointing fingers at the voters. Gerrymandering, voter suppression, I get that. It's happening in many other red states, and Ohio is not one that's missed that tag. But come on, Ohio. This is a person that's made it clear that he doesn't give a damn about you. So you all need to step up here. And I mean that with all the love that it's supposed to mean or supposed to have. This guy will be further destruction to your state. He doesn't care about what's important to you. He's already talked about the things he wants to slash. And what that means is that your children who want to become educated and want to go forward and be able to take advantage of public education and public school and daycare and childcare and all these things, he doesn't care about. So don't just sit on being a Republican. I have to vote for Republicans because I can't have a Democrat in office. Please don't be stuck on stupid. And I'm speaking to you like a friend would speak to you when it comes to certain things. Don't be stuck on stupid, y'all, in Ohio. Don't just check R because you're a Republican. You've been a lifelong Republican. You could be a lifelong drug addict. At some point, you got to break away, right, Henry? And no disrespect to those who have an addiction. Don't anybody get your undies in a bundle on that. But I'm being preachy for a reason on this. I told myself I wasn't going to go here totally, but I would peek into the room. But come on, Ohio, we can't let this happen. Now, broadly speaking, we as a country can't let it happen. So no matter where you are in the country, we need to get after supporting Dr. Amy Acton. So it's on all of us. We can't vote. Those that obviously, if we're not in Ohio, we can't vote there. But it's on all of us to do every doggone thing in our power to help her win this race. Okay? So I'm going to come off the pulpit or out of the pulpit. But I had to say that because I watched this last night and I was like, man, I got a lot more to say about it, but I'm going to keep it there. On today's show, my good friend, Rico Mowatt will be sitting in with us for most of the show. He'll probably get here around 6:30 or so, and he'll be with us while we talk to our other guest, Bobby Kogan from the Center for American Progress. Can't wait to talk to Bobby. That's going to be a lot of fun. He's going to have a little bit to say about this ballroom, Henry, and so many other things. And then at 7 o'clock, our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blues 63 will be with us. And we may take some calls while Kurt's with us on the air. Between me, Rico, and Kurt, we may answer a few of your calls. And then in 7:30 hour, we're definitely going to be taking calls because I know by then you guys are going to be wound up and ready to throw everything on the planet at us. So we'll be ready for you. But that's what's happening today on today's show. And before we go to break, this first break, let me throw out a quick question. Since we're dealing with elections, let me ask you this. Which Democratic demographic do you think will have the most influence in the midterms? Okay, say it again. Which Democratic demographic do you think will have the most influence during the upcoming midterm elections? Let's take them to a break, Henry. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is your WCPT Progressive Calendar, Thursday, May 14th at 6:30 p.m. The Network for Responsible Public Policy presents a Zoom webinar and Facebook Live event, The Political Narratives That Define Us and Divide Us, featuring Leonard Steinhorn, political analyst, author, and professor of communication and history at the American University. The goal of the event isn't just to understand what defines us, but to start figuring out how we can bridge those divides and move forward together. Visit nfrpp.org to register for this free event and learn more. Thursday, May 7th from 6 to 7 p.m., join the Chicago Growth Project in planning for Chicago School Board, mayoral, and city council elections. Volunteers will help plan events, brainstorm future initiatives, create social media content, design graphics, and research candidate and policies. This free get-together will take place on the 5th floor of the Harold Washington Library Center at 400 South State Street in Chicago. That's been your WCPT Progressive Calendar.
In Iraq, our truck hit a roadside bomb. I had about 16 surgeries on my hand so that I could regain function. And when I came home, I needed a new roof due to a storm. And my electrical was deemed unsafe. And I was about to lose homeowners insurance as well. I didn't really know where to go in order to get help. And so I applied for Operation Homefront Critical Financial Assistance Program. They've really been a blessing. Operation Homefront is the safety net. A lot of veterans, they fall through the cracks sometimes. And Operation Homefront, they catch us. It's been a blessing to us. It's a blessing to other veteran families. And it's good to know that when we come home, there are people who are there that care about us and want to see us do well and want to see us succeed, and we feel it and we appreciate that. I would say you guys are angels behind closed doors.
Visit OperationHomefront.org to learn more.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Mike's on, truth's out. This is Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back, and thanks for tuning in this morning. I want to give a quick shout out to a listener that sent me a really cool bit of information. Shout out to Michelle and her son, Michelle H. and her son. All I can tell you is just keep on keeping on, and we'll keep working hard to bring you the best that we've got every single day. So, Henry, let's hit him with a couple of Choose Views news. On this May 6, 2026, the Iran truce is strained as the U.S. attempts to reopen the straits. Yesterday, oil prices did subside a little bit as the tension stayed high in the straits. The global oil benchmark Brent crude dropped 2%, and the still elevated price of $112 per barrel. West Texas Intermediate, also known as WTI crude, fell 3% to $103 a barrel. All eyes remain on the strait as the U.S. attempts to escort some ships through the area. The White House weighs pre-release vetting on AI models. The Trump administration is contemplating an executive order that would create a working group focused on oversight of artificial intelligence models, a notable shift from its earlier hands-off policy, according to the New York Times. They don't have the staffing and the people that really understand what's going on, so anyhow, the group would include government officials and tech executives with support of the idea of previewing AI models before release. The potential change, which the White House called speculation, is driven by concerns over cybersecurity and military applications, particularly following the introduction of Anthropic's powerful Mythos model. Now, what does all that mean? Well, don't let people like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel have such purview with our government. Start there. In terms of the oversight, start with the people that you are. Okay. Coinbase to cut 14% of workers on crypto and AI volatility. The Coinbase company announced yesterday that it would lay off roughly 14% of its workforce, which is about 700 employees, because of the converging forces of market instability and AI disruption. In a staff email also posted to X, CEO Brian Armstrong explained that the company would rebuild as an intelligence with humans working around the edges that it aligns with. Settlements. What are we talking about? The SEC has decided that it's going to settle with Elon Musk over the Twitter acquisition. They reached a deal that alleged he had committed over violations related to the 2022 acquisition of Twitter, subsequently now named X. If a judge approves the deal, a trust in Musk's name will be created to pay the $1.5 million penalty. The move follows a recent jury verdict in another case that found that Musk had misled investors ahead of the purchase. I guess the good thing about this is it could be a little bit of a tipping point to create other opportunities for other companies and organizations that might decide to file complaints or suits against Musk for other things. That's what happened with Meta and Mark Zuckerberg. Speaking of Met, this is the Met Gala. Couture collides with the anti-billionaire backlash. The Met Gala may be famous for its themes, but this year's costume art faded in favor of social media appointed monikers. The 2026 affair was dubbed the Amazon Prime Gala, or the Bezos Ball, after Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and his wife, Laura Sanchez Bezos, were named as its honorary co-chairs. Protest groups projected interviews with Amazon workers onto buildings, while New York City's mayor declined to attend. Good for him. Good for Mandami. Even so, the $100,000 per ticket soiree far surpassed last year's record fundraising haul, drawing $42 million. A couple of quick Choose Views items this morning, just to keep you guys up to snuff on what's happening there. And today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be talking to David DeWitt, Ohio Capitol Journal Editor-in-Chief, Laura Rodriguez, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs at the Center for American Progress Action Fund, Tom Hartman, author and host of the Tom Hartman Program, and Joel Ostro, Professor of Political Science at Benedictine University, and Rima Zuriadis, Certified TACMed Instructor and Medic in Ukraine. Live, Local, and Progressive, 2 to 5, weekdays, Central Time here on WCPT, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. And then tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by guest co-host Ken Mejia Beal, and their guest will include Joel Ostro again, and Rima Zuriadis. DJ Burns, publisher of The Rooster, the largest independently owned media operation in Ohio politics. Carl Deal, the Oscar-nominated filmmaker who directed the 2025 documentary Steal This Story, Please, along with Amy Goodman, host of Democracy Now!, weeknights 11 p.m. Central on WCPT. Driving Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays. Listen to her 5 to 7 every day, weekday, Central here on WCPT AM 820. Heartland Signal website, tune in, YouTube, and Facebook. Tomorrow on Choose Views, my guests will include the comedy duo Francis Collier and Angela V. Shelton, also known as Frangela. Jessica Hawk, retired teacher and content creator, also known as My Teacher Face, and Seth David Radwell, political analyst and speaker and author of American Schism. Looking forward to our guest tomorrow, as always. Join me weekdays 6 to 8 here on WCPT, heartlandsignal.com. Tune in and watch the live video stream on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, we're going to grab a quick call, and let's go to our friend Kurt Herner from Ohio. Good morning, Kurt.
Good morning, Richard, and thanks for taking it. I'll be real quick. Ohio.
Yes.
First of all, I'm sorry, Molly, that we failed you in Ohio. But, you were gracious with your loss. So, it is what it is at that point. As far as Vivek Ramaswamy, I was just up at Kent State on Monday, and I was thinking about this. And I was thinking, man, if this university were to be absorbed by something else or someone else or became part of something else or was closed down completely, that town's gone. I mean, that's one of the largest employers, and I don't think people understand that universities as well as hospital systems are the biggest employers in communities. And when those things are gone, then jobs are gone, which means those communities become ghost towns. Also, Ohio has a cycle of history in the last couple of gubernatorial campaigns where we go 16 years with Republican governors, 4 years with Democratic governors, and then back to 16. So we're due for another Democratic governor, and we got to really work hard for Dr. Amy Acton, to get her in, because I'll tell you right now, I'm looking on Facebook. There is a person named Casey Pooch, that's P-U-T-S-C-H, who ran against Vivek Ramaswamy, and I'm seeing a lot of his supporters, Casey's supporters, saying, I'm never going to vote again. Where do we go from here? I don't believe in the system anymore. It's rigged, blah, blah, blah. Well, the solution is come to our side and vote for Amy Acton so you don't get your Vivek Ramaswamy that you so despise. But for sure they're going to either sit it out or they're going to go and vote for Vivek Ramaswamy because, that's what the overlords want.
Well, like I said a moment ago, and Kurt, thanks for calling and thanks for the updates. And the comment you made about the university being, sucked up into something is so precisely accurate. We'll talk about that in more depth when we got a little bit more time, because I know you and I both have had this discussion before. But all I want to say with this, because we got to get to a break in a second, is listen, folks, heed the words. Listen to what Kurt just said and what I said earlier. We as a country have to participate in the process of getting Amy Acton, Dr. Amy Acton, to give her props, elected as governor in the state of Ohio, as well as being involved to help to make sure that Sherrod Brown gets back into Congress as a U.S. Senator.
Sherrod, yes.
So we as a country have to help in that process. That's what I'll say. I'll leave it there. Kurt, be safe, my man. It's always good to hear from you. Thanks for giving us the update, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you, Richard.
All right. Be well. Bye-bye. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and now AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. When we come back, Bobby Kogan will be with us from the Centers for American Progress. And guess who else? Rico Mowatt will be with us here in studio. He just arrived. We'll be right back.
After getting my promotion, the time had come to sell our home, so we got an appraisal.
But it was much lower than we expected. Before we had it appraised again, a friend suggested we make some changes.
I put my framed vintage Negro League baseball shirt, our African art, and family photos into storage. And that second appraisal came back much higher.
It's a shame we had to hide who we are to get a fair home appraisal.
A recent study found that Black and Latino homeowners are about twice as likely as white homeowners to get low appraisals. For example, one Black homeowner received an appraisal more than double the original after removing family photos, Black art, and books from her home. If you believe your home has been unfairly appraised because of race or national origin, that could violate the Fair Housing Act. Contact HUD at hud.gov/fairhousing. That's hud.gov/fairhousing. Everyone has a right to fair housing. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Are you excited about being a new grandmother?
Of course I am. A little intimidated, too.
Why?
Taking care of a baby today is so different than when I had you.
But, Mom, you did great with me.
Thanks, son. But I put you on your stomach to sleep.
Right. But now we know that babies should always be placed on their backs to sleep, for naps and at night, to reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS.
You also slept with blankets and toys in your crib.
True. But now we know to keep everything out of the crib except for my sweet baby girl. No blankets, pillows, or other soft or loose items.
Daddy's going to teach Nana all the ways to keep you safe while you sleep. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
For more tips on safe sleep for babies, visit safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. That's safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see a high into the upper 50s. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover with a low around 40. Thursday, we'll have a slight chance for rain showers here late. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops a high around 60 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 45.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
It's Choose Views, where we read more than just the headline. Now here's your host, Richard Chu.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This next hour and a half is going to be raucous, but full of information and good stuff. My good friend Rico Mowatt is sitting in with me this morning. Good morning, Rico.
Good morning, Richard. How are you?
Man, like, what can I tell you? We got to keep it on the rails. Me, you, Henry, and Mike are going to just mess some stuff up right now.
I feel it.
But we're going to have some help from the Senior Director of Federal Budget Policy at the Center for American Progress. Who am I talking about, y'all? You've seen him, heard him before on the show. Bobby Kogan is with us once again. Bobby, good morning and welcome back to Choose Views.
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me on again.
Absolutely. I told Rico, I said, Bobby is that guy who's got a whole bunch of information about a lot of things when it comes to how we spend our money and how we make sure that money is appropriated. It's allocated and appropriated and used properly because you deal with a federal budget policy. Good to hear you again. Glad that you're back with us since we talked last. There's so much that's happened, and that seems to be the theme these days is that you go, a week goes by, 2 weeks go by, and yet another crazy thing happens with this federal government and how they are really just running a roughshod through our money. I mean, I don't know how else to say it other than that. I mean, what have been some of your assessments since this these last couple of weeks have gone by?
Yeah, so Republicans are going full steam ahead with their newest reconciliation bill. Reconciliation is the process that they use to pass the big, beautiful bill a couple, maybe 9-10 months ago. The special thing about reconciliation is it's filibuster-proof in the Senate. That's just a fancy way of saying you can pass it with a simple majority. Republicans control the House. Republicans control the Senate. Republicans control the presidency, so it means they can actually do their agenda. And that was how they enacted giant tax cuts that disproportionately went to the richest Americans on the planet. It's how they enacted the biggest cuts to Medicaid and SNAP in all of U.S. history. It's how they supercharged ICE and CBP last time. It's how they gave $150 billion to the military last time, and it's what they're now trying to do it again and give another $70 billion to ICE and CBP. And while I'm at it, I should mention $1 billion for the ballroom. So we saw the text of that Monday night, 10 p.m. They released it, and Judiciary has scheduled its markup and everything. So we are full steam ahead to. I said supercharge ICE, but really supercharge just doesn't actually do it justice. Just to use some numbers, take the kind of amount of money that it had under Biden, and we're looking at it would have the ability to run at maybe 4 or 5 times capacity nonstop through the end of the Trump admin. So it would allow it to radically transform the agency into something we've never seen before. You take it with Tom Homan just said, "Oh yeah, we are gearing up for mass deportations." Said a word I'm not allowed to say in the air, but he said it's coming, and they're giving themselves the money to allow it to happen. So huge stuff is happening in the budget, as always during the Trump administration.
Yeah, Bobby, the thing that I'm frustrated about with this ballroom, and folks may laugh at me about it, but when do you and me and your spouse and family and my spouse and family get to go and dance in this ballroom? I mean, if we're going to pay for it, it's like.
Yeah, I don't think I'm the one who gets invited there.
I don't think either of us are going to be invited.
I don't think we will be. But that's the okie doke that a lot of people on the right are falling for, is that if Donald Trump says it's good for whomever, then it's good for whomever, and we're not going to push back. And the entire GOP is just falling right in line with that. I mean, let me throw some numbers at real quick that I know you know these better than most. The blame. So the failing of Spirit Airlines was blamed on the Biden administration by this administration. They blamed Biden for the failure of Spirit because they said, well, they didn't cut the deal. No, a federal judge blocked the deal. It wasn't Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden. It was a federal judge that said no. But here's some numbers. They always talk about, well, Biden this, Biden that. When Biden left office, gas average price was $3.11 a gallon. Right now, it's $4.46. When Biden left office, a kilowatt cost across the country was 16.6 cents. Right now, it's 17.65. When Biden left office, the price of something like beef, for example, a grocery item, an affordability item, was $5.79 a pound. Now it's $9.50 a pound. So help us understand, why is it that what Biden did was so bad and what Trump is doing is so great when it comes to this, this budget and this allocation of funds? I know that our answers are pretty simple, but the Trump effect is clearly, based on the numbers, and I know you see them, causing harm, real harm to everyday people. Bobby, talk about that.
Yeah, it's so funny because the president normally gets too much credit and too much blame for things going on in the economy. There are very few levers the president actually has. But for the few levers that do exist, Donald Trump is pulling all of them in the wrong direction. gas prices are going up, and therefore the cost of everything, because everything has to be transported and moved. Gas prices are going up because Donald Trump chose to invade Iran for no good reason, with no plan in place, and made everything worse, right? That's why gas prices are up a huge amount. Donald Trump also chose to institute tariffs. Every economist basically in the planet was like, hey, man, that's a pretty dumb idea. And he instituted broad tariffs and, on our allies. And he eventually carved out specific things, but including on stuff that we can't really produce domestically, like bananas and coffee, right? There's no, even if you took the conceptual justification for tariffs, which again, economists disagree with, but even if you took it, it would never make sense to put tariffs on bananas and coffee. We're not being out-competed because we don't grow them here. But he did it anyway because he's a stable genius. And so, he did that sort of stuff. That increases prices on Americans because it's literally a tax on goods coming into America. So it raises the price of them. So he did that. He also cut crucial programs that Americans rely on. He did not just the biggest cuts to Medicaid of all time, he did 3 times bigger than the previous biggest cuts to Medicaid of all time. You think of cuts to the social safety net, you think of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, prior to Trump, had done the biggest cuts to Medicaid of all time ever. Shocker, right? But Donald Trump said, no, that's not enough. I'm going to do something 3 times bigger. That's what he did to Medicaid, right? You take SNAP. Similarly, the largest cuts to SNAP in all of U.S. history, even bigger, by the way, it's turning out to be even more of a disaster than we expected. We've seen the admin data, and already 3.5 million fewer people are on SNAP than just 10 months ago. It's a total disaster. So he's done all of these. Oh my gosh, and I almost forgot another one. He allowed the premium tax credits, expanded premium tax credits from the ACA to expire, doubling tons of people's premiums, right? People's premiums going up $600, $700, $800 per month because of this. Not for everyone. It's kind of for this select 20 million people, but 20 million people, still a lot of people. So the few levers he actually has, he universally pulled in the wrong direction, while saying, "No, $1 billion for me for my ballroom," right? Saying, "Oh, and more money for ICE to terrorize neighborhoods, more money for CBP to terrorize neighborhoods." So it is just a profound lack of purpose, a profound lack of priorities. He's someone who's looking out for himself and not for the American people.
I would say, Bobby, I'm going to add something to that I thought about this over the weekend, and I certainly thought about it this last couple of days, knowing that I was going to be talking with you. If there's anything you guys can chime in on this, both of you, that Trump has done. When was the last time anybody was brought in front of a congressional hearing or there was a major news story talking about what? The Epstein files. So if this war has done think about, see, you guys pause because you're like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to go back a week, and there's nothing that's been a quote, national story or news coverage, Bobby, that is around the Epstein files. So clearly the distraction of the war, clearly the distraction of the ballroom and all the other things that are going on have taken away from something that has harmed people's lives. And I'm not going to call that masterful, but it's worked to at this point.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a funny other piece of the puzzle that hasn't really gotten lifted up, but congressional Republicans have basically been running massive cover for him. So the one part of the government, one committee that has oversight is the Oversight Committee. Shocker, it's right there in the name. So the House Oversight Committee has a lot of colorful characters. It has people like Nancy Mace, had Marjorie Taylor Greene, has Lauren Boebert, has a whole bunch of, kind of, as I say, very colorful people, but also people who, had people who were part of the for and the discharge petition to demand the release of the Epstein files. And every time they would meet officially, Dems would put forward a motion to subpoena someone in the Trump administration over the Epstein files. And it kept happening again and again and again. And what they did in response was they don't meet anymore. They refuse to officially gavel in. I was set to testify before them as an expert witness on duplicative government spending, and I was there to talk about why a lot of what people say is basically wrong. So I was there to testify, and they switched it from an official hearing where I would testify as an expert witness instead to a round table. So we all just sat at a table together and talked. And it was kind of nice, right? We were all just kind of hanging. Cameras were barely on. They were technically on or whatever. But as a result, instead of having an official hearing, instead they just did a roundtable. It meant that there were no official actions that could happen, and as a result, they couldn't subpoena any Epstein stuff. So what's happening here is all the leaders of oversight and of all the various subcommittees have all gotten together to work hard to make sure that they don't actually bring anyone up.
Yeah, that's the part where I think a lot of people are missing that this. It's not, I say this oftentimes, Bobby, and we're going to take a quick break. It's not just Trump. It's the entire cabinet. It's the entire administration. It's the entire GOP right now. And that's where we have to continually lay some blame. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chu, and you're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. And now AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm sitting here talking with Rico Mowatt and Bobby Kogan from the Center for American Progress. We'll be right back.
WCPT replay.
Jamie Harrison is a treasure.
I hope the American people stand up and speak out in a way that we have never seen before. So that they send a strong message to folks, and particularly, I don't really give a damn the message that it goes to Donald Trump. I want the message to be sent to the feckless Republicans that you see in Congress, the ones who talk a great game, but in the end of the day, who have been as pliable as a string in the wind. I mean, these folks are just, Mike Johnson's, the Thunes of the world.
Yeah, you want to send them a message. I want them beaten.
Yeah.
I want them out.
Well, that's the message that I want. I want to wipe them out of the Congress.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Don't hit that snooze button. It's time for Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, this is Choose Views, and I'm Richard Chu. In studio with us today is Rico Mowatt, and on the phone is our guest, Bobby Kogan, Senior Director of Federal Budget Policy for the Centers for American Progress. Bobby, Rico has a question for you. It's a pretty straightforward question, but I'll let him ask it.
Bobby, I could listen to your budgetary brilliance all day.
Yep.
But as an everyday consumer and a father of two, what's your take on what, the average American who's the cashier, who's, the white collar worker, what can they do about all this? Like when they see this malfeasance financially and the egregiousness of what this administration is doing. And again, I'm not saying that you're supposed to give recommendations and solve the problem of everyday Americans, but I'm just scratching my head and I'm like, man, what can we do?
Yeah, it's a good question, Rico. The point of government is to help people. That's why it exists, right? I mean, people's lives are tough, and the purpose of government is to help people get by, and really it's to help people get ahead, right? Life is unfair. There's a lot that we can never do to fix it, but the things that we can do to fix it, I think it's our duty to fix it. I think that's the point of everything. And so the federal government does a lot to help people. And in fact, the amount that it does has grown over time. It's actually, people wouldn't assume that, but over time, the United States government went from basically doing nothing to help people to doing some, to now doing a good deal. And about 70% of the non-interest spending that we do at this point goes to help people. And of the remaining 30%, about half of that is the military, and the other half is like biomedical research, right? Like NIH, right? It's science grants like NSF. It's investments in the future, like some of our education and some of our infrastructure. And it's the agencies, right? It's the people who literally run the government, without which the whole thing falls apart. So of the 70%, that's great. That's stuff helping people. That is, some of it is giving back, our Medicare and our Social Security. Some of it's Medicaid. Some of it's food assistance. Some of it's kind of direct education grants. Some of it is pure low income help to people, right? The child tax credit, the earned income tax credit, the premium tax credit. It's the stuff that kind of makes government work. And that's the stuff that's under attack, right? It's these largest cuts to that section of the government that's ruining people's lives, that's taking people who are already struggling to get by and really, barely had a hope to get ahead, and saying, nope, you're on your own, pulling the rug out from under these people who paid taxes their entire lives and just want to be part of America and be part of society. So that sounds so lame, but people have to vote. People have to contact their representatives because, and it's like the lamest response to all of that, but we know the stakes here. The stakes are people's livelihoods. I thought about, in 2017 when I grew up right next to a district that had voted for Hillary but had a Republican representative. And so I had a ton of friends who had a representative who was on the fence. And I remember talking to so many of them who were not really politically active and begging them to call her. And I said, there are two people, I must have been like 26, 27, 28 at that point. And I said, I'm not that old. I said, there are two people who I already know who had childhood, actually, oh my God, actually it was three people I know who had childhood cancer, who would be completely uninsurable for the rest of their lives if we got rid of protections for people with pre-existing conditions. Three people who I knew, even though I was really young. And it's not their fault. They didn't do anything wrong. It's not like they didn't take care of themselves. And I said, you don't know how many people in your life who you love are gonna have their lives ruined. And we ended up winning, right? No one thought we could. We ended up winning. We ended up protecting tens of millions, actually over 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. And it's just that the stakes of this stuff really matters, and the only way through, unfortunately, is to convince these members of Congress that they have to care about other people. We shouldn't have to convince them, but we do. We have to convince them. Some of them we remind through their self-interest. We say you're going to lose your job if you take this vote. And others we try to convince to have a heart. And I know I sound like a bleeding heart when I say that, but just that's reminding people the stakes, who's going to be affected, how they're going to be affected, why they're going to be affected, just matters so much. So it's really lame, but we just have to remind our representatives that they serve us, that we are real people who really matter, whose lives hang in the balance here. And I have always found that calling, fine, whatever, but if there's a way that you can attend an event and talk directly to your member, I have found that a one-on-one conversation, that's more important than if you were a mega millionaire and gave $1 million. A one-on-one conversation where you really sound like a real person is the most valuable thing on the planet.
And it's hard. Thanks for that question, Rico. And Bobby, your response was spot on. It's okay to have a very simplistic response. Sometimes it cuts through a lot of the cheese, if you will. But it also reminds us that I think what it does, it says to people, everyday folks, that you have power, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be the simplest thing. And probably one of the things that's happened with all the money that's in politics is that people have viewed this as an ominous thing that they can't get past
or can't get their head around.
Right, because they don't have that kind of money, that kind of lettuce to get involved in the process, so they don't get involved. Where in actuality, if you can show up at an event, if you can be part of something that's going on in your community, then go and talk to the legislators that are there. Take the optimistic, positive approach. And I particularly say this about young folks. Young folks meaning, let's say, people that are under the age of 35 that are looking at how to deal with this next cycle. One of the easiest things that you guys can do that are listening is to get involved. Don't just get everything from the airwaves or from social media and all the other podcasts. Find out when someone's speaking and go to that event and let them know, like Bobby just said, that you want them to do a better job, or you want to encourage them to do a better job. Let's put it that way. So, Bobby, go ahead, man.
Sorry, really fast, just to go on that really fast. So I worked on the Hill for 5.5 years, and we had our weekly staff meetings, and in them we went every single week. We went over all the calls we got. And so that was always really important, calling in and everything. But I cannot tell you how many times my boss would be like, oh, well, I was talking to someone and they said this. And then that became an all hands on deck. Like, that's what we were doing and responding to and thinking about for the next 3 weeks. Maybe we were introducing legislation because of it. Maybe we were all doing research because of it. It's just, that was the sort of stuff that would get into the member's head and really mattered. So I can't say this strongly enough.
Yeah, without a doubt, because we know right now there are some people who would pay $10 a gallon for gas if it means that people of certain ethnicity and gender can't vote. And so fighting back against that is probably the best tool that any of us has in our arsenal, is to say to them, no, my vote, my activity, my mindset, my thought process, all of that matters, and I'm going to make it clear to you that it does. Bobby Kogan, y'all. Bobby, how can folks find you? How can they stay plugged in and tap into some of the great articles? I mean, I can't even cover the stuff that you guys cover and that you write in your research, but I will say this, it's made my brain hurt sometimes. So, in a good way, How can folks find you, brother?
You're the best, man. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm at BBKOGAN, BB Kogan, at bsky.social, and I post my thoughts, and hopefully some of them are even good.
Yeah, they are. They break my brain every now and again, make my head hurt, man. So, Bobby Kogan, thanks for hanging out with us. He is the Senior Director of Federal Budget Policy at the Centers for American Progress. We always appreciate you being on the show, and thanks for all that you do. Stay safe, stay strong, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks again, Richard. Appreciate it. Rico, glad to have you on today as well.
Thank you.
All right, man. Be well. Talk to you soon. Let's hit a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. You are listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM way down there in Warren County, North Carolina, as well as our good friends way up there in Minnesota on AM 950. I'm Richard Chu, sitting in with my man Rico Mowatt, sitting in with us this morning. And when we come back, Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be rolling with us. We'll be right back.
Those headaches and stomach aches your child gets may be migraine. 10% of children and 28% of adolescents have migraine disease. Migraine at School can help. Learn more at migraineatschool.org. As a parent, I know how migraine impacts my daughter's ability to learn. Every child deserves the chance to flourish in school. Visit migraineatschool.org. Sponsored by the Coalition for Headache and Migraine Patients.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. China's top envoy Wang Yi is calling for a comprehensive ceasefire in the Iran war after meeting with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. The Trump administration is pressing China to use its ties with Iran to urge the Islamic Republic to open the Strait of Hormuz. Earlier, President Trump announced he was pausing his short-lived U.S. effort to guide stranded commercial vessels out of the strait in hopes that a deal could be finalized. Meanwhile, Trump is again criticizing Pope Leo XIV, potentially complicating Secretary of State Marco Rubio's Vatican City visit this week. AP Washington correspondent Sagar Magani has more.
In an interview, the president says the first American-born pontiff is endangering Catholics by essentially saying it's okay for Tehran to have a nuclear weapon. At the White House,
leave aside the Pope. The president, and I, for that matter, I think most people, I cannot understand why anyone would think that it's a good idea for Iran to ever have a nuclear weapon.
Still, Rubio tried to downplay any rift with the Vatican. The Pope says the president's misinterpreting his views. He says the Catholic Church has spoken out against nuclear weapons for years, and his calls for peace are biblically inspired. Leo adds, if someone wants to criticize me for announcing the gospel, let him do it with truth. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is appearing today before a House committee investigating convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Lawmakers are expected to ask Lutnick about his contact with Epstein after 2008. The Commerce Secretary has given contradictory statements about the relationship, but says he has done nothing wrong and welcomes the closed-door interview with lawmakers. This is AP News. A cruise ship hit by a deadly hantavirus outbreak is waiting off Cape Verde to sail to Spain's Canary Islands. 150 people remain on board, 3 passengers have died, and some suspected cases have been evacuated. AP correspondent Haya Panjwani reports on a settlement in an Apple class action lawsuit.
Apple has agreed to a $250 million settlement in a class action lawsuit over false advertising of Siri's AI capabilities. The lawsuit claims Apple misled consumers by promoting features that didn't exist when the iPhone 16 launched in 2024. If approved, the deal means owners could receive at least $25 and up to $95 for each eligible device. The settlement covers about 37 million devices bought in the U.S. between June 2024 and March 2025. The company is expected to unveil the upgrades soon.
I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see a high into the upper 50s. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover with a low around 40. Thursday, we'll have a slight chance for rain showers here late. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops a high around 60 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 45.
This is a WCPT Moment in Labor. In 2011, 6 Jimmy John's employees in Minneapolis were fired by their franchise-owning company, Mickey Lynn Enterprises, after fighting for paid sick days. This is a common theme in the union-free world of fast food. Over 13 million Americans work in the fast food industry, making an average of $13,500 a year, not even half the average cost of living. 80% of fast food workers have experienced work-related injuries, and only 13% were covered by their employer. A group of employees referred to as the Jimmy John's Six fought for these rights, creating an online campaign, posting a picture of 2 sandwiches saying one of these was made by a healthy employee, the other was made by a sick employee. Can you tell the difference? Too bad, as Jimmy John's workers do not get paid sick days. Help workers win sick days. More than 32 million Americans work a job that does not offer paid sick days. This has been a WCPT Moment in Labor. We're working for your rights.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
No fake news here. It's Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. You know that you can catch our show on a lot of different places. You can certainly catch the live video stream on Facebook and YouTube, and this episode, and all, of course, our featured episodes, featured interviews, and full episodes, just by going to our Heartland Signal website. So many places you can go, and you can share. You got to like and share. Do that. Primary day took place all over the place yesterday here in the Midwest, particularly Ohio. We talked about that earlier, and we talked about some of the things that took place in Michigan. But Indiana really, I would say was probably at the top of the list, Rico, in terms of the states that had so much going on.
Yeah.
And our next guest is our friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63, and he definitely he had been warning us, I guess you could say, but to keep our eyes and ears open about what was happening in Indiana. And Kurt is with us this morning. Good morning, Kurt. Welcome back to the show. And I'll let you guys say,
Richard.
I'll let
good
you.
Good morning, Rico.
Yeah,
good morning,
go.
Kurt. Nice to meet you. Big fan,
brother.
Big fan.
Big fan of you too.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, Indiana's at the top of the list on a lot of things, Richard. So you know that.
Yeah, I do.
Right up there.
And they're not all things that you write home to mom about and be proud of. I know. No. So let's just dive into the deep end of the pool on this, man. You guys had to deal with what you knew was probably coming, which was the primarying, if you will, of Republicans who told Donald Trump to go have a Thelma and Louise moment when it came to redistricting. And so talk about what went down and bring us up to snuff on what happened last night or yesterday.
Well, just a quick rundown. 7 of 8 Trump backed candidates won. We had a 15% voter turnout yesterday. Progressives won a couple seats, but we didn't have a very good day. The establishment, was victorious in their efforts. So we reorganized, we move forward, and we conquer another day. That's the only thing we can do. So, but you were talking about Vivi and the things that he wants to do. It's already been done here.
Yeah.
I mean, we have, if people are familiar with Mike Braun, we have one of the worst governors in the nation. I mean, he's right up there with Abbott and any other bootlicker. Braun is there. He's a MAGA dude. So, and Indiana just proves it over and over again that it doesn't matter. And this doesn't have anything to do with just stupidity, like you were saying earlier. People are just being stupid, and it's just hatred towards everyone who's not a white MAGA, conservative Christian. That wears a Turning Point USA hat, that goes to church on Sunday and opens up their Bible, and then Sunday night is online trashing everybody and calling us names and everything. So that's what this is all about. It's about hatred and discrimination and racism and white supremacy, and it's just it's really getting old, man. It's really getting old. And this, I shouldn't need to tell you or anyone that this is the way our country's been. So it's just.
One of the things, Kurt, and thank you for that. And listen, it's that's why we're here, to support each other and to keep each other propped up. That's, I think, one of our superpowers. I think we have more than just one or two. We have a few of them, as Rico and I talk about a lot in private. This is one of our superpowers. It was our ability to come together and say, no, you all aren't going to take us down. It sucks. And for someone that's like you and many other folks in Indiana that think like you and see the world like you and want to move us in a positive direction, we give you guys an extra bucket of kudos, because you're in the middle of, it's the reddest of red, and it's the craziest of crazies that are there. I use this loose analogy earlier when I said that, Ohio, y'all got to get yourself straightened out, because it's like the addiction to just voting R for the sake of voting R, when the people who are those R's, Mike Braun is a good example of it. The governor is, and also Senator, was it Jim Banks? These guys are not.
Todd Young, Jim Banks.
Yeah, these cats are not. I'm not even going to call them cats, because that's a cool language. Micah Beckwith, the list goes on. It's a bunch of, excuse my language, but you know I can say this. It's a bunch of feckless, white dudes that just keep holding back everybody else because they can't get it done. And it's just disgusting that they lie. Like you said, I love that analogy as well. Go to church on Sunday, praising God.
Yeah.
And then before their butts get warm in the seat of their car, they've got their cell phones out, trash talking folks.
Yeah. When they go to Denny's to get their Grand Slam breakfast, they're sitting there with their phone, trashing white people or people.
Trashing white people in your own state, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Guys like Rico and myself and you, our Caucasian brother in Indiana, we know what that's all about.
Yeah.
But because we get it all the time. We literally get it all the time. And we're not, whining about it. It's just the truth. But to have guys in the state that are the elected officials in Indiana, and the same thing goes true for a lot of Ohio, but we're talking about Indiana because you're there, to have them trash you, and you look like them, and all you're trying to do is move the ball forward to make it better for other folks, irrespective of how they look, who they love, and all the rest. It's just utterly disgusting. It just is.
I walked in to vote yesterday, and the people sitting at the table walked in. As soon as I walked in, three of them, they know who I am because I know who they are. And, they all popped up, and here's that Democrat, dude, that's, but I went to school with them. But, I'll tell you how stupid the people are in Indiana. We continue to vote Republican and put people in power. They've had control for 22 straight years. 18 of those years have now been trifecta control. We're 50th in quality of environment, 47th in maternal mortality rate, and 49th when it comes to black women mortality rate. We're 43rd in infant mortality rate, 45th in public health funding, 42nd in mental health funding, and 49th in overall quality of life. So you tell me, what are the Republicans doing for the people of Indiana? And why do they continue to vote for these people? Why?
Question.
It's because of hatred. What else is it? White supremacy. It's because they're owning the libs and everyone who is associated with the Democratic Party is what they think. And they're too dumb to understand that when we go to the gas pump and pay $5.03 a gallon, it's for all of us. There's not a red pump and a blue pump, okay? There's a pump.
Well,
it's like... Wow.
You're only paying $5.30 per gallon. Listen, you're living the life of luxury, my friend.
Man, you are. You're as the phrase goes, you're in high cotton. I know some people are going to lose their mind when I just said that. Well, that's an inside joke. For those who don't know, you can email me and I'll explain it to you. But those who do know, you can roll with this. I mean, Kurt, here's one. I said this earlier. There are people who will gladly pay $10 per gallon for gas.
Yeah.
If it means black people can't vote. And I'm going to expand that to say black people and people of any community of color and any other, quote, marginalized group. They'll pay $10 a gallon. I told you about the story about the guy who was on MS Now being interviewed down in the Villages last Thursday, I believe it was. And he said that, this war is necessary to protect Americans' interests, and we've got to do this right now. And I back the president. And yeah, if we have to pay $1.50 more a gallon, it's a price that we have to pay. It's a sacrifice we have to make to protect our country. And the words that came out of my mouth, I can't repeat on the air, but one of them begins with the letter M, and it's Kamala Harris's favorite curse word. You guys can figure out what that is, and if we're all born to a person that's not our father but the other. I'm like, really? You want us to pay for the war that your boy started, and it's okay that you're justifying it by saying it's all right that we're $1.50 more a gallon. You've lost that, but those are the people. They'll pay $10 a gallon to make everybody else feel some pain.
Yeah, but Richard, the whole thing right there that you got to look at is white dude from the Villages.
Yeah.
Okay. End of story.
Let's go.
White dude from the Villages.
White dude from the Villages.
If people don't know what the Villages are, then they need to
look it up. Yeah. Hey man, I like your ball cap. We're going to take a quick break though. We'll talk about it on the backside. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. And I'm told that we hang out with the folks at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, hanging out with Rico Mowatt and Kurt Mullett, Hoosier Blue 63. We'll be right back.
We got out of Washington State, and I think a week after, state went on lockdown for COVID.
So then when we transitioned to Texas, it was very much so like, what are we going to do now?
Operation Homefront has allowed our family to make something of ourselves again in the world after the military.
It's completely changed the way our life is. It took us from a hopeless situation, and now we're homeowners. We have a savings account. I'm the first one to own a home out of my siblings.
Visit OperationHomefront.org to learn more.
Are you excited about being a new grandmother?
Of course I am. A little intimidated, too.
Why?
Taking care of a baby today is so different than when I had you.
But, Mom, you did great with me.
Thanks, son. But I put you on your stomach to sleep.
Right. But now we know that babies should always be placed on their backs to sleep for naps and at night to reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS.
You also slept with blankets and toys in your crib.
True, but now we know to keep everything out of the crib except for my sweet baby girl. No blankets, pillows, or other soft or loose items.
Daddy's going to teach Nana all the ways to keep you safe while you sleep. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
For more tips on safe sleep for babies, visit safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. That's safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
We may be waking up, but we're still engaged. It's Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Aha, we are back, y'all. 773-763-9278. Hanging out with my good friend Rico Mowatt and my other good friend Kurt Mullett. We got the M's going here. The last name M's. Before we went to the break, I was giving a shout out to my man Kurt's ball cap that he's wearing, 1619. I got one too. I've been wearing it. My wife got it for me like 8 years ago. The thing is it's the coolest cap that I have in my arsenal of ball caps. And you guys know I like me some ball caps. But that means a lot. That cap represents a lot, and a lot of people struggle with seeing anybody wearing it. But that's got to be something else for you to walk into a place.
Oh yeah,
without
look at me and they don't know what it means. But that's why I wear it. So people will ask me, what does that mean? What's the significance of that? Because I think it's important. And I'm not blowing smoke. You know who I am and how I talk about things. In fact, yesterday it was a crappy day around here. It was raining and I didn't feel like doing anything, so I got back on Hulu, and the 1619 Project is on there, and I watched it again. I watched the episode about black women in America and their struggles with childbirth care and when the pregnancy care, and it's just shocking. And I will never be able to understand the things that y'all go through. But to try to understand it is what I think is our responsibility. And that's what so many white people fail to do. They either aren't interested, or they don't give a crap, or they don't, they don't want to dive into. I don't know what the problem is, but I think it's important that everyone understands the history of our country and how our country, was built, and the beliefs that it was built on. And the struggles that not only Black Americans have had, but people of anyone who's not a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Period.
Well,
I mean, this attack on the Voting Rights Act is what brought me back to this.
Yeah.
Because it's just crazy. I mean, Louisiana created there's 6 districts down there, and they created 2 of them that were in what everybody's saying is favorable of blacks, but it wasn't. It was proportionately proper. They made these districts proper. So I think there's 30-some% of voters in Louisiana are black, and 2 of the 6 districts were favor of blacks, if you want to say that, and they call it racially injustice and gerrymandering. How is 33% of the districts representing 33% of the voters? How is that? I mean, so what I think should be done is that every district, every state that's in the country that is has districts like this, because there are more white gerrymandered districts in this country than there are black gerrymandered districts. Just file the lawsuits, fall right in. If this is the rules they're going to play by the rules.
Yeah,
I think follow this. Well, hey,
one of my questions, and I think that we all can have our opinion about this, but I want to see where we all land. Is if this will backfire, will it be a thing that will inspire more people to say, no, I'm getting out to vote. I'm going to do what I have to. The thing that Bobby Kogan said it in part is to get involved and stay involved. But also I go to I add on to that. Will this gerrymandering at this level now being endorsed by the Supreme Court in the way that they did last Wednesday? It's interesting how stuff happens on Wednesday right after you and I talk on Wednesdays.
Right after, yeah.
But so it's been a week since we talked about this, or been a week since we talked last. But do you guys, and Rico, you grabbed this first, do you think that this will, do you think there will be any backfiring from this in terms of what other states are going to do? We've already heard some rumblings around it. And what voters will do.
Yeah, I do think that people are going to realize, and as this becomes more prominent and talked about, and with what the Supreme Court did with the Voting Rights Act, people will stop and say, wait a minute, what's going on? Why is this happening? And what can we do? And also, what does it mean to me? And again, at the break, Kurt, I think that, the GOP, particularly in your state, has Stockholm syndrome. They just are
you're right.
They're just aligned with the victimization of the party and what they're doing to the state, to the people. And I think ultimately, it's going to change. I think ultimately people have to look up and say, wait a minute, this just isn't right. And this is happening in every state where they're trying to, do this redistricting. And what does it mean? And what's the impact? And how does it change who I vote for? Who am I going to vote for? What new candidates are going to come in the fold? Why do these folks look different than, in voting seasons past?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that people are going to kind of step up and start, shaking off the cobwebs and realizing, you know what, I got to take a look at this.
Mm-hmm.
I got to figure out how, because again, also at the break, Kurt, we talked about, and the Stockholm Syndrome comment came up because with the big, beautiful bill, and when you speak of all these different statistics that are just atrocious and of a medical nature, Indiana is mostly C&D County. It's farmland. It's expansive. It's like a lot of the country, and urgent care centers, smaller hospitals, private hospitals got gutted because of the big beautiful bill and the cuts to Medicaid and the ability to fund those urgent care places. So there are medical deserts all over the country, but especially in Indiana is no different. So I think that person who can't get their medication, who couldn't get treatment, who maybe has a special medical need or a special medical need child is going to realize, oh my God, you know what? I've got to take a harder look at this because something just changed and I don't understand how it's affecting me.
Yeah. Kurt, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And Rico, that when a bill comes to pass, the effects of it are not immediate.
No.
Yes, you may feel some things. Your premiums may rise, but it's after the bill has been in effect for a while, and it's when all of the current funding that's there, when that funding runs out, and there's no funding to replenish that, and then it's the continuation of time that will make things extremely harder for everyone. And now we're going into the summer months where air conditioning is going to be part of the equation. And in the Midwest we have some extreme temperatures. We're facing an AI data center crisis in Indiana. They're flocking to our state, and we've got politicians on both sides of the aisle that are just bending the knee to them and allowing them to put these data centers wherever they want to put them. And we're trying to fight that. And then we also have a governor who just announced a big deal with Israel.
Yeah,
and we're starting to call Indiana the Israel of the West because of the connections that have been happening there. So, the bottom line is that we have to remove big money, dark money out of politics. We have to get rid of it. We have to start putting people before profits. And if we don't adopt that mindset, they are going to achieve what they want to achieve, which is reducing the population to 100 million and getting rid of everybody that's not aligned with the white supremacist ideology. They're going to get rid of any marginalized individual, the LGBTQ plus community, anyone who's not white skinned, anyone who doesn't vote Republican. They're going to get rid of all of us.
And
that's their end game.
That last piece there, anybody that doesn't vote Republican. So when people have said, or when people have taken the mindset that they're not going to be included in all this, it's for the others. Don't fool yourself, because if you that's the part of this that I think so many people are afraid to talk about, because they're worried that, or not worried, but they're thinking, well, this isn't going to impact me. And and they're using their privilege, in many cases, their white privilege, frankly, and saying that it's not going to impact me. And then the next thing you know, you're wondering why that hospital in your rural community got closed.
Yeah.
Because it happened to you. Yep. While you were sitting back going, that's for the others. That's for those brown folks over there. No, it's for anybody that doesn't align with their way of thinking. And that's why I'm just shocked that the numbers in Ohio with Ramaswamy and Dr. Acton are as close as they are, because he's been unabashed about his, not giving a damn.
Yeah.
And, and the odd thing about it is, his skin color doesn't make him a kinfolk.
Nope.
And his ethnicity doesn't make him such. It's his ideology that's going to hurt people, and it's going to hurt people of all communities. That's the part that, it's the weird, but we have to pay attention to the weirdness part of it because it's alignment with their ideology that they want as much as anything. Kurt, I'm gonna throw this to you real quickly. We're gonna take a break, but can you hang out with us for a little bit past the bottom of the hour?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's do that. Let's go to a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk more about all these crazy things. I'm Richard Chu, sitting in with our good friend Rico Mowatt and Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63, and you are listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the voice, progressive voice for sure, of Minnesota. We'll be right back.
WCPT replay.
John Fugelsang. Listen, y'all, the dude wrote a book called Separation of Church and Hate. What a great title. Tell us a little bit what's happening in that space.
Well, and I'm so grateful to you and all the deeply attractive listeners of WCPT for supporting this book. So I wrote this book years ago about how to use the Bible for believers and atheists, because even if you don't believe in Jesus, if you're debating a right-wing Christian on any of the issues that divide us, Jesus is probably on your side, whether he's a literal figure or not. They don't care about the teachings of Jesus. They don't care about religious freedom. They don't give a damn what God tells you to do in the Bible. They care about conservative Christian power. That's it. Jesus' movement was all about humanity and all about humility. He was not about total right-wing domination of the school board.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see a high into the upper 50s. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover with a low around 40. Thursday, we'll have a slight chance for rain showers here late. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops a high around 60 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 45.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chu. Take it away, Richard.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. Rico Mowatt is with me in studio, and Kurt Mullett is calling all the way from Indiana. People sometimes will say to me, why don't you go after some of the other, people in the Democratic Party, or stop going after some of the people in the Democratic Party? And it's a back and forth. So it cracks me up sometimes because, we can't, we can't always satisfy everything that we satisfy everyone with everything. But one of the texts that we got, Kurt, and I'm going to move on to something that Rico wants us to talk about, and I do too. This comes from Rissa in South Carolina. She says, tell Kurt, we down here in South Carolina are trying to compete with Indiana. 30 years of GOP control, and the maggots here can't see why South Carolina is in the bottom 10 for everything. Guess what, y'all? South Carolina is not run by Democrats, so don't blame Democrats. Whether you are a liberal, way liberal left Democrat, middle of the road Democrat, or moderate Democrat, South Carolina has been run by Republicans, so don't put that garbage on us.
That was a
well, you got Dawn Staley down there too, so that
but Dawn's the truth. Dawn's the truth.
Yeah,
she is.
That text was pretty funny. That was a wait a minute, hold my beer text.
Right. So Rissa, shout out to you this morning, girl. We love you, and I love your text messages. So thank you for that. So Kurt, all right, man. We're gonna have some fun for a moment with something.
Okay.
I'm not one that's.
If it comes from Rico, it's got to be fun. Right?
It is. Trust me, it is. The stuff that he and I say in private, people would be like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
All right, man. So listen. I want to know, what would it have been like for you, me, and Rico to have been on the panel the night that our young cat Adam Mockler decided that he wasn't going to take any garbage from Scott Jennings? What would that have been? I had to try to frame that with a certain way. Scott Jennings, what comes to mind, or what is it that you want to do when you see if Scott Jennings showed up at your front door? What would probably happen? But we have to get that bail money together.
Well, yeah, you have FCC regulations, so I can't go there. So, yeah, you're absolutely right, though. Yeah, if the three of us were sitting across the table from him with Adam or without Adam, we would have he would have had a Steve Bannon moment, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But shout out to our young brother, Adam Mockler, for his just bringing the heat and not backing down with all the other things that people are trying to say about him. He's basically, Rico made a good point. He said he's not backing down because
he's basically taking their playbook. And he's like, hey, this is your playbook, and if you don't like it, get another playbook, and I'm not going to back down. I mean, when he's on Piers Morgan, and Geraldo Rivera, who they dusted him off from I don't know what coffin and brought him out
from Capone's vault.
From Capone's vault. I actually commented on social media about that. Like, the last time we heard from him was he messed up at Capone's vault and there was nothing there. There was like a newspaper and broken glass and like
still
a diaper.
Nothing there.
Yeah,
still nothing there.
But and he Geraldo called him a derogatory term and he volleyed it right back like it was pickleball, and I loved it.
Yeah. Adam didn't even take a deep breath. He just called it right back. But I like the way that
Geraldo looked like a 95-year-old Chucky.
Yes, he did.
He did, man. Wow.
Yeah, he did.
Wow. Some makeup on that dude.
Man, yeah. I try not to make on the air. I try not to make personal attacks about people's appearance. But
I know you don't.
Oh boy, man, oh man.
Yeah, I know you don't.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about what I'll say about Adam Mockler and those types of voices. And I'm not just saying young voices, because there's people of all across the age spectrum that are doing something that has got Republicans frustrated up and down the conversation, and that is more people. They're listening to things that you're saying, Kurt, and people like you were saying, is that we have to play the game a little bit differently. We not dirty, but if it means getting into the mud to fight, I know how to fight in the mud if I have to.
Yeah.
That's not my choice, primary choice of where I'm going to fight somebody, but I know how to fight straight up, and I know how to get down in the mud to fight. And I think that's the kind of energy that the Jasmine Crockett's and frankly, now you're seeing a little bit of it from Tallarico, because now he knows he's in a dogfight. And you're seeing, the nice guy part of Tallarico, he's had to kind of unbutton his collar a little bit because he knows that they're going to come after him. Yeah. So the more Democrats are listening, that moderate-esque Democrat are listening to the Kurt Mullets of the world that say, no, we got to play it a little bit differently. And the Adam Mocklers of the world, we got to play this a little bit differently. And the list goes on. The better for the party, and then as a result, the better for the country. So I'm glad that he stepped to Scott Jennings. The question now, though, is what should happen? Because there's some hypocrisy that's going on. We go from a president who flips off a factory worker,
yeah,
and nobody says anything about that really of any meaning. And then we have a guy that uses the F word on national television. Where is Brendan Carr of the FCC now? Kurt.
Well, he's not around when it's MAGA or, something that's said in their realm of the world. It's, it's like you said, it's hypocrisy. It's a double standard. It's the way they play the game, and it's I can't go there. I'm not going to be a hypocrite when it comes to things. I'm going to tell you like it is and how I see it and how I feel about it, and I'm going to stand on those grounds. And if I make a mistake or say something wrong, I'm going to fess up to it, but I'm going to hold people accountable for their actions. And that doesn't, with me, you and I've talked about this, and you see enough of my content. I don't hold back. I'm very critical of people on both sides of the aisle, because I think we're at that point where we have to be. We cannot continue down this path that we are on, and you got to look at where I'm from and where your listener from South Carolina, where we're from. We live in states that are controlled by Republicans that have just taken us down the drain. And, people in Democrats in states like that, Indiana, South Carolina, and others, we've had enough. We don't see change. We see reform. We see a complete, flip of this party. We have to do things
in some places. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you mentioned Tallarico. Hey, I hope he does well. But there's a lot of things that have come out about Tallarico now that we're finding out about the money that's behind him that he said wasn't supporting him. And I know some people don't want to hear the stories about money and talk about it, but we have to look at what's happening with this. And why are Democrats not stopping some of these things that are taking place? Why can't Democrats say there's a genocide going on in Gaza or in Libya now? Or Lebanon, I mean. Why can't they say that? Why do they skate from that, okay? Why do so many of them stand and not push back like we need them to push back right now? We have the most corrupt president in our nation's history, the most corrupt cabinet in our nation's history, the most corrupt Congress in our nation's history, and we sure as have the most corrupt Supreme Court that we've ever had.
Yeah.
And why did we get to this point? That's what we have to keep asking ourselves. How did we get to this point? Why did we not do something about this 10-year redistricting crap when we had control? Why didn't we do something about it? Why didn't we codify Roe v. Wade? Why didn't we do the things that we needed to do? Because Democrats have always said, well, we'll work with you and, we'll try to make a bipartisan decision here. All the while, the Republicans and the GOP are scheming behind our backs for 45 years or 50 years or however long it's been, having this end game that we're at here right now.
One of the things that, and I want to jump on this because when you ask the question why, and Rico, I want to get you to chime in on this as well. Great point, by the way, Kurt. But when you ask the question why, and I do that a lot too, we go back and say, how did we get here? Well, we can lay a path backwards and go, here's how we got here. But a lot of the things, not so much the things that we did do, but the things that we did not do and did not stand up for.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I believe we have to do now is to stop worrying about being or trying to be bipartisan. Yeah. On stuff, and that's why I wanted to hit on this before we wrap up. Is when I hear people say that they're being bipartisan, I could give a damn about being bipartisan any longer. Being bipartisan from a Democratic perspective has gotten us into more trouble than I think it's actually solved. Yeah. As it relates to your question, Kurt. Now, there's some times where you got the numbers require bipartisanship because you got to get it across the finish line. I get that. I'm not being bullheaded there. But when it comes to things that you got to stand up for, sometimes you got to draw the line in the sand and pick a side and be unyielding about that. And this is where I believe that as a party, we have so many opportunities. I look at it from the positive perspective as best I can. We've got opportunities there, and that's why, to something you said a few weeks ago, Kurt, that's why we're seeing the successes in some of these off-year and special elections, because people have said, they've heard the message, like, if we take a side, there's a lot of people that are going to follow us because we just drew a line in the sand and said, no, enough is enough. Yeah. Rico.
So I think one of the things that's happening is you have to stand up for something. And when you stand up for it, you have to stand out while you're doing it.
Yeah.
And that kind of, in doing so, you can't be bipartisan when you want to stand out. I think it's really critical, and I think it's really important. The other thing, and Kurt, you mentioned it, as you expressed your frustration of 20 years of this, or the young lady from South Carolina talking about 30 years of that. 20, 30 years ago, there's a certain people were agnostic to politics, and they just typically voted on party lines. And the past 15 years, and then even more so the past 10, especially with the pandemic now, 5, 6 years behind us, we're in the information age now, where people are not as agnostic about things like politics. Politics used to be this, oh my gosh, it's like, oh, what does that mean? Or just vote on this line, that line. It was like buying a house or buying a car. It seemed really complex. But now you can get a new car or qualify for a mortgage on your phone. And now information is so much more accessible so that you can really understand the ripple effect, to the point of the previous guest talking about how budget manipulation and how funding can help hurt your everyday life. Infrastructure bills, if you're someone that has to drive 60 miles a day, Medicare cuts if you can't get to, a hospital or what have you. So mortality and needs for your children, which I talked about before. So I do think that there's, a situation where people are kind of waking up.
Yeah.
And they
And the thing that we have to do, guys, and I know that I get a lot of pushback on this, but it's where I am, and it's because it's what I believe. I believe we can be critical. Like if we're a sports team, we have to be critical of the areas that we aren't are the areas that are blind spots where we're not winning.
Yep.
So people, please understand this. When I'm critical, it's because I look at it from a team perspective. What is it about our team that's deficient that we've got to fix to win championships?
Yeah.
We maybe have to go out and get some new players, let some players go, change our practice structure, all those things. A good team that wants to win has to do that. And you have to do it with a certain amount of, it's going to hurt, but you still got to do it. At the same time, the other side of that, and I got some texts from people that are punching back on this about criticizing Democrats. The criticism is to awaken people that we haven't done this in a way that's been successful. And we have to change that. The change is the positive side. That's the constructive side. That's the how do we move forward in a positive way? Yeah. Because I agree. We can keep criticizing our party to the point where we end up decimating our party. And we don't have people who understand that enough. There are people who just criticize for the sake of criticizing. And then there are those who I believe criticize for the purpose of getting us better and winning the championship. I want us to take that position, because if we just criticize, that's self-destruction. We have to do both, and we have to do it from a perspective of let's acknowledge that we haven't won the championship, and we need to make some changes, do it now, and not perpetuate the same players over and over again, the same ideology over and over again, and then put in the people that are going to get the job done to win the championship. So, Kurt.
Yeah, and I'll say real quickly on that, because I'm faced with that all the time. Why do you criticize the Democratic Party? You're doing damage. Okay, we're at 28% approval rating. How much more damage needs to be done before you say something? Okay, yeah. And I'm not being divisive. Okay, I'm talking about change and reform. I'm not talking about this because of decisions that they have made. I'm talking about this because of things they have not done and decisions they have not done. So if people want to bang on me or anyone else for saying we're being critical of the Democratic Party, maybe you need to step back a little bit and look exactly what's happening to the Democratic Party on a national level and what our representation has done. We continue to allow these bills and this legislation to get passed that are hurting Americans. We need to shut it down. And if they can't find the spine to do that, we need to find people that are going to do that.
Yeah, I get it.
And I agree with you. These people that have been in office for decades, they need to be gone. We need change. We need reform. And I'm sorry if people don't agree with that. So,
well, and I think it's less about agreeing, and it's more about acknowledging that the conversation has to be had. We've got to make some changes, and they have to be positive changes so that we take the base, the foundation that we have, and we build on that. And that's why I keep coming back to. We've had these successes with a lot of the off-year elections and elections that are special elections, and people are listening. So let's continue on that.
You can't. Yeah, you cannot. I lost my words there. You can't make a change to a problem, or you can't do anything about a problem until you acknowledge there's a problem.
Without a doubt.
And until you acknowledge and I don't care if it's healthcare, alcohol, whatever the case may be.
Or the roof of your house. Why is it leaking in the bathroom?
Why is it leaking?
Yeah.
So.
All right, guys, we got a break. Kurt, It's good to hang with you, man. Thanks for being with us today.
Man, thanks.
Appreciate the hanging out for a little bit longer. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. Also, our good friends at AM 950 up in the great state of Minnesota, the progressive voice of Minnesota. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I've tried everything to stand out at work. Donuts, a company coffee blend, even dressed as the company mascot for Halloween.
There's an easier way, a ComEd facility assessment. Their engineer gave my company free insights and actions that saved us $732,000 on energy. Easy, right?
Learn how ComEd can help you save at ComEd.com/facility assessment. ComEd, powering lives. Savings will vary based on customers' usage and rate.
WCPT replay.
I worked all day updating my office on what's going on with ICE agents. These are animals. There's video of them tasing a man who was already zip tied in a vehicle, and they tased him because what? They didn't like the way he was behaving, or he was already zip tied. Not to mention a 1-year-old who was exposed to tear gas as her parents were running errands, as they were also, by the way, chasing down an 11-year-old girl. I'm not going to say I'm sorry for calling them animals who won't even share their badge numbers, their names, or their faces with us. Spare me for their protection, as though there aren't judges, police officers, FBI, all the different areas of law enforcement and our justice system who do put themselves on the line. We've had judges whose families have been killed in their homes. So you're telling me that an ICE agent is feeling a little bit, are they feeling vulnerable?
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Those headaches and stomach aches your child gets may be migraine. 10% of children and 28% of adolescents have migraine disease. Migraine at School can help. Learn more at migraineatschool.org. As a parent, I know how migraine impacts my daughter's ability to learn. Every child deserves the chance to flourish in school. Visit migraineatschool.org. Sponsored by the Coalition for Headache and Migraine Patients.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Debunking the lies your uncle saw on Facebook. It's Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I want to give a shout out to all the folks that sent us text messages. RISA 708-847-630-832. D, we got you. We understand where you're coming from, and we can't. I'm in agreement with you. We can't continue to just keep going after our own party. We have to do it in a way that's constructive. So I got you, D. I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate your comments. And no, you do not have to take a seat, a step back. You get to be right in the middle of the fight with us. So there you go. We talked a quick hit about Scott Jennings and Abby Phillips.
Yep.
So let's take a half a second and talk about that. Then I want to grab Dee's call real quickly.
Just a half a second. And it's because every time I see him, he completely represents the challenge that I think, Democrats face and people that are progressives face in terms of the smugness, the attitude, but also just the irresponsibility of just saying whatever he wants to say and not backing it up and going for not being cognitive in his discussion with facts and even recommendations, but just being very, very divisive in terms of defending kind of this lunacy. And the one thing I find Abby Phillips to be a brilliant journalist. I think she's really good. Yes, we talked. I know that she obviously there's a pecking order and compromise with the C-suite in terms of that news organization. But man, I just want to see him kick off the show.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do, and I think that came to a head with what he said last week. It was almost a little bit of abuse that he was throwing toward Adam. And a little bit of sort of that bullying that he tried. Yeah. Let's grab this quick call from Dee. I know Dee wants to get after me. Good morning, Dee, and welcome to the show as we wrap up today. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, Mr. Chu. Hey, I'm not trying to get after you. I just wanted to bring up one very salient point, I think, and that's the fact that we already have a right-wing media ecosystem that fluffs up everything this traitor in office does. We have a mainstream media that's owned by the same billionaires who try to both sides everything. So we have a very, very tiny, as you know, media space where Democrats can even get a hearing. I'm not saying you can't criticize them, but I am saying it's okay to stick up for Democrats if that's what you truly believe. And because they're the only ones that are in power that actually give a damn about any of us. So I'm not saying you have to be sunshine and rainbows about Chuck Schumer, but I will say if you say, oh, the solution is just leftists all the time, and then you get fooled by Tulsi Gabbard, you get fooled by John Fetterman, that's not the panacea. Maybe everyone should take a step back, so to speak, and think about that. Thanks, Richard, for the time.
Thanks, Dee. Appreciate your call. Excellent point. I think that it becomes one of the comments that were received, which I completely agree with, and I've said it before. Got to learn from the veterans. You can't kick the veterans out.
No.
Just for the sake of having young players on the team. That's a stupid move. Unless you are willing to endure the pain that's going to cause to be competitive. I have never said, neither will I ever say, we need to get rid of all of the old players in our political system in the Democratic Party. I'm never going to say that because there's too much learning that comes from that experience. And, I'm going to write a little bit about this on my Substack today, what I call the spare tire, the flat tire theory. And it's this. You're driving down the road and you hear the dumpity, 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 dump, and you realize you got a flat tire. So you pull over, you have three choices at that point. One of them is you keep driving on that tire and you create more damage to the wheel, to the car, and yourself. Yeah. That's one way. The second is you completely, you snatch off the tire and you just wait for somebody to come and help you. And you miss the event that you were going to. The third one is you find that the spare tire that you have isn't a regular tire for the car. It ain't perfect. But if you put it on, you can keep on moving down the road.
You get where you need to go.
You get where you got to go. Maybe a little bit slower, maybe not as efficient, but that's how I look at where we are. We can't just keep driving down the road like we are.
No.
We can't do that. We're going to wreck too many things. We can't just sit and wait for somebody to come along and help us because it's too damn hot or it's freezing.
No one's going to come save us.
No one's going to come and save us. So the middle, and I'm not saying middle ground politics, I'm saying the other option is that imperfect tire, put that bad boy on and keep on moving. We have to, as a Democratic Party, look at our team, I think, that way. Is we've got to fix it. We can't just sit there, and we sure as hell can't just keep doing what we're doing.
No.
And so I just want you guys to understand, I'm not throttling against the Democratic Party. I'm saying, I've said this so many times, I use this example. Magic Johnson went to the Lakers as the baddest dude in basketball, rookie. He and Larry Bird were the stuff. And even Bird will tell you, when he got to Boston, he had to listen to what the veterans on the team said as he and Magic came into the league as rookies. Magic listened to Kareem and the other leaders on the team, and they went on to win championships. That's what good teams have to do. They have to make that adjustment. We have to make some adjustments. We got to listen to our veterans and bring in that new energy. Rico, thanks for hanging out with me, man.
Always a pleasure.
People are loving it when you were here. So we're going to do this more often, guys.
Absolutely.
The number is 773-763-9278. You know who we are. And what do you got to do? You got to stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. And take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
In Iraq, our truck hit a roadside bomb. I had about 16 surgeries on my hand so that I could regain function. And when I came home, I needed a new roof due to a storm. And my electrical was deemed unsafe. And I was about to lose homeowners insurance as well. I didn't really know where to go in order to get help. And so I applied for Operation Homefront Critical Financial Assistance Program. They've really been a blessing. Operation Homefront is a safety net. A lot of veterans, they fall through the cracks sometimes. And Operation Homefront, they catch us. It's been a blessing to us. It's a blessing to other veteran families. And it's good to know that when we come home, there are people who are there that care about us and want to see us do well and want to see us succeed. And we feel it and we appreciate that. I would say you guys are angels behind closed doors.
Visit OperationHomefront.org to learn more.
Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. President Trump today threatened Iran with more bombing if it doesn't reopen the Strait of Hormuz, following a report that an agreement is emerging to end the war. On social media, Trump said the war could end soon and oil and natural gas shipments could restart. But that all depends on Iran accepting the reported agreement, which he did not detail. Meanwhile, AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports Iran's foreign minister has met with his Chinese counterpart to discuss the conflict in the Middle East.
Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi told Iran's Abbas Araghchi that China is deeply distressed over the war that's lasted more than 2 months. In a video of the meeting accessed by the AP, Wang says, "We believe that a comprehensive ceasefire is urgently needed, that a resumption of hostilities is not acceptable, and that it's particularly important to remain committed to dialogue and negotiations." It's the first time since the start of the war that Araghchi has travelled to China, whose close economic and political ties to Tehran give it a unique position of influence. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
A cruise ship hit by a deadly hantavirus outbreak is heading towards Spain's Canary Islands. 3 passengers have died and several others have fallen ill. The head of the World Health Organization says 3 suspected cases have been evacuated and are on their way to the Netherlands. Spanish officials say the roughly 140 passengers and crew members who were left on the ship are all without symptoms, adding that the arrival of the ship does not represent any risk for the public. A new AP NORC poll reveals many U.S. adults say they or someone they know has made life changes because of immigration enforcement over the last year. More information at apnews.com. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Gethin Cool Ball. The defending champion Thunder took a 1-0 series lead with a 108-90 victory over the Lakers in the Western Conference semifinals. Chet Holmgren scored 24 to help overcome a game-high 27 from LeBron James.
We know what they're capable of doing. They can go on a run where it's like, okay, we got it right here, 2-possession game, 3-possession game, and then boom.
In the East, the Pistons earned a 4th straight win, besting the Cavaliers 111-101 in Game 1. The Celtics' Jaylen Brown was 5 fined $50,000 by the NBA for public criticism of playoff officiating. Stanley Cup playoffs, Nathan MacKinnon had a goal and 2 assists, and the Avalanche went up 2-0 in a West second-round series against the Wild with a 5-2 win. The Maple Leafs won the lottery for the first pick in the NHL draft, and MLB, the Cubs walked off the Reds 3-2 for their 7th straight win.
I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see a high into the upper 50s. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover with a low around 40. Thursday, we'll have a slight chance for rain showers here late. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops a high around 60 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 46.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. In the summer of 1881, 2 decades after the Civil War, 20 African-American laundresses met at a local church in Atlanta to form the Washing Society, a trade organization which looked to create a higher uniform wage and greater work autonomy for laundresses, also known as washerwomen. Through the help of local preachers and door-to-door canvassing, the Washing Society grew from 20 members to 3,000 in only a few weeks. The workers went on strike and faced opposition from their employers as well as the local politicians. The Atlanta City Council proposed a licensing fee for their organizing efforts. Strikers agreed to the fee in exchange for self-regulation. In the end, the City Council rejected the proposed fees and the laundresses prevailed. The impact of the strike led to increased wages for some, but showed that African American workers, including women, were vital to the New South economy. This has been a WCPT moment in labor. We're working for your rights.
Spring is here and summer heat is right around the corner. Is your home ready to stay cool and energy efficient? At Green Attic, they help Chicagoland homeowners prepare their homes for rising temperatures. With over 15 years of experience and more than 1,000 5-star reviews, Green Attic is a trusted expert in attic insulation, blow-in cellulose, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, mold remediation, and solar attic fan installation. When the sun heats up your attic, that trapped heat can force your air conditioner to work overtime. Proper insulation and ventilation helps keep your home cooler and lowers your energy bills. Green Attic also offers full-service roofing through Green Attic Roofing, including asphalt shingles, flat roofs, Da Vinci, Brava, Cedar, Tesla solar roof, and solar panels options, all backed by the industry's 10-year labor warranty. Spring is the perfect time to fix insulation problems and aging roofs before the summer heat and storm season arrive. Schedule your free insulation consultation today at greenattic.com or get an instant roofing estimate at greenatticroofing.com. Green Attic, healthy home, happy family.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
The Miller Show.